So believe it or not, the Z Fold 4 has been out for more than 6 months now. And when it was first released back in August of 2022, I was super excited. Samsung has continued to improve this folding technology every year. The Z Fold line just continues to get better, and I was looking forward to the Z Fold 4 improving on a lot of the weaknesses the Z Fold 3 had. So the question is, how has the Z Fold 4 held up over the last 6 months? Has there been any durability concerns? Would I still recommend the Z Fold 4 today? Well, I'm going to answer those questions in this video. So let's start off with durability, because I've been really surprised with the durability of the Z Fold 4. There's always been issues with previous Z Fold devices. For example, the Z Fold 3 and the previous Z Fold devices always had issues with the internal screen protector or the internal display. A lot of owners from the previous foldable devices from Samsung always complained that the internal display, the screen protector on this internal display, would start to peel over time. So they couldn't just simply remove the screen protector and replace it themselves, because that's not how this foldable technology works. Now that's kind of a pain, because that means you would have to take your fold device, your flip device, take it to a Samsung repair center and get that screen protector replaced. And some have had to do that sometimes every 6 months because that screen protector would start to peel. Now, I haven't had any issues with my Z Fold 4 so far with this screen protector, except at the very bottom, at the center, where this fold closes. I can start to see something. It's so small, I probably can't even capture it on camera. I could just see it with my eye. I don't know if it's starting to peel or if that's how it always was. I just see something at the bottom. It looks like the screen protector is starting to lift. Other than that small detail, which I'm not even sure is an issue, there hasn't been any problems with the screen protector on my Z Fold 4. It's held on pretty well, and Samsung has said that they have improved the durability of this year's Fold device, or last year's Fold device, because we're in 2023 already. And I can honestly see the improvement, at least when you compare it to the Z Fold 3 and a lot of the issues that it had with durability. Now, of course, with any Fold device, you have to be a little bit more delicate with this phone than you would another phone because of that internal display. And unfortunately, I did drop my Z Fold 4. Now, it was closed when I dropped it, but the hinge, you can see there at the top, it got some dents, some scratches there at the top, and the metal around the outer display also has a few scratches on it as well. Thankfully, the display, the outer display is fine. There's no cracks or scratches. The internal display is perfect because the phone was closed when this happened. So of course that's not gonna really damage the internal display. But I did have a case on it, and it was Samsung's display that they sell for the Z Fold 4. Now see, the problem with a lot of the cases for these folding devices, in order for it to actually work, it comes in 2 pieces. So it's not just one case that you slap on to the Z Fold device. Some of them are one piece because they do cover the hinge, but it's a lot more complicated. Normally they're gonna come in 2 pieces, one for the front, one for the back, and the hinge is always kind of exposed, with most cases at least. And they have these adhesives inside the case so it can stick onto your Fold device. Now the problem with that, those adhesives start to not work over time. After removing it and putting it back on, it's just not going to stick onto your Z Fold as you would want to, or as it did when you first got the case for it. So that was my issue. The adhesive for the front part of the case is just not very sticky anymore. So when it fell for the first time, this front part just completely fell off, leaving the front part of the phone completely exposed, and that's where most of the damage took place. Now, of course, it pains me to see scratches on my phone. I'm just that type of person, but the phone still works fine. Now, one thing I did want to mention when it comes to the hinge, you could just hear like slight crunches now when you open this fold. Now, the first time you do it, you hear it, and then it gets better after a while. But yeah, I mean, I can't even capture it probably on the microphone, but you're starting to see that there's dust or particles that get into the hinge and just make it sound kind of just not pristine like you would want it. But that's kind of part of owning a foldable device, I guess. But not a big issue though. The hinge works just fine. It opens and closes as it normally would. Just kind of that pet peeve of opening it and hearing slight crunches, very small crunches when you open up this device. Now, this phone isn't cheap, as you probably know. You're looking at a regular price of $1,800 for the Z Fold 4, which is steep for really any smartphone. Now, if you're looking, you can always find a good deal on this phone though. So there's really no reason to pay the full $1,800 price tag. I know that's kind of the drawback for any foldable. They're just more expensive, but really, if you're paying that more expensive price and you're not really getting a good deal, you're not looking hard enough, because Samsung always has good trade-in deals, good deals on their smartphones. You just have to be patient and wait for a good price on the Z Fold 4. And speaking of saving money and still getting something great, you should definitely check out my partner for today's video, Mint Mobile. I've always been the type that's stuck with those 3 major wireless network providers, right? Because I just wanted to get great service. But now with Mint Mobile, you can get great service and still save a lot of money. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network, and plans start as little as $15 a month. That's crazy. Mobile service for $15 a month. If it sounds too good to be true, it's not. I've been using Mint Mobile for the last 3 months, and it's been surprisingly great. Honestly, just try it out and see for yourself. They offer physical SIM cards and eSIM, and it's super easy to switch. You can even find a great deal on a Z Fold 4 on Mint Mobile, or even some newer phones like the Galaxy S23 Ultra. So if you're like me and you're just tired of paying so much for your wireless bill, check out Mint Mobile today. You can use my link mintmobile.com/techverve. It's also linked in the description. But now let's get into performance. The Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 processor inside is a beast. This phone still runs smooth. Transitioning from the outer display to the inner larger display is seamless. Using DeX on this phone is great. I actually made a whole video where I filmed and edited the whole video on my Z Fold 4 using LumaFusion, and I edited that video using DeX with LumaFusion. So if you want to see that video and see kind of the performance, the capabilities that this Z Fold 4 has, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. But honestly, performance has been kind of something I don't really think about, which is a good thing, right? You don't want to think about performance. You want your phone to just work. If it works, you're kind of not really thinking how great the processor is, because it's just doing everything you want it to do. When it comes to battery life though, it's obviously not as good as it was at the beginning, and that's kind of what you can expect from any smartphone really, but it's still acceptable. It definitely is better than last year's Z Fold 3. It gets me through a full day, no problem. Once again, it's not as good as when I first got this phone. I have noticed a drop off when it comes to battery life, but it's still a good performing phone, a decent performing phone when it comes to battery life. So performance wise, durability wise, this phone has really held up, and it's still one of my favorite phones to use on a daily basis. The camera is better than you might expect. Check out my full review of the Z Fold 4 that I did a few months back if you want to get more in-depth analysis on the camera. But in summary, this is kind of like an S22 camera system on a Z Fold 4's body, if that makes sense. It's a good camera. It's obviously not the best that Samsung offers. That definitely goes to the S23 Ultra, but you're not really buying this phone because you want the best camera experience, right? Otherwise, you would go with an Ultra phone. You're buying this because of that folding display, having that larger internal display to use as kind of a mini tablet. And honestly, that's what I love about the Z Fold 4, having that tablet-like experience with you everywhere. You're able to just open it up, and now you have so much more display real estate to use. And Samsung takes advantage. Their software features actually take advantage of that extra real estate on this display. Look, if you like larger phones, if you like larger displays, you're gonna love the Z Fold line. It just makes sense to go with this foldable phone. Now with that in mind, is the Z Fold 4 still worth it today? Well, we're probably about 6 months, if not less, from a new Fold. So you might wanna hold off and see what the Fold 5 has to offer, but this is still an amazing phone. You can't go wrong with the Z Fold 4. Of course, don't pay full price for the Z Fold 4, especially 6 months later. Look for a good deal. And if you can, wait for the Z Fold 5, because I'm sure Samsung is going to improve a lot of what the Z Fold 4 is lacking. For example, battery life could be better. Hopefully they improve that with the Z Fold 5. Camera system, even though it was a much better camera system, I would love to have an ultra camera system. Maybe a Z Fold Ultra is in the future with Samsung. Who knows? Also, this is the perfect phone for a stylus. I know Samsung sells a stylus for the Fold and I've actually used it, but this phone deserves to have a built-in stylus like the S23 Ultra does. So hopefully Samsung does that with the Z Fold 5, and I think if they do make those improvements, it's gonna be better to just wait for that phone than to purchase this one right now. But either way, you can't go wrong. Just don't pay full price for this phone is my advice to you. But what do you guys think? Is the Z Fold 4 still a good phone today? Let me know with a comment down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos just like this one on tech news, reviews, and opinions, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our new videos, and I'll see you on the next one.